fall is approaching, and fall on the East Coast is when you start to play video games, you watch more movies, you got a girl, you know, you watch a movie and you do whatever, go on dates to movies, you know, stuff like that. I'm not claiming to be some movie expert, or video game expert, but when you have watched them long enough and played them long enough, you might have seen or played something that other people haven't. So this is more of like my opinions through experience, not my opinions because I think I'm a movie expert or a game expert. But if you read comics, if you collect toys, it lends itself into film and video games. It just is what it is. Today is some kind of like Montgomery Day in my town. So my street, man, is always something. Today, there's parades of people walking down the street, and I might join it in an hour. So let's talk about two movies I think you should watch. Tobe Hooper started with a bang with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and other directors, other movies with huge horror icons, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. All them films have different directors. Carpenter did 3 of the Halloweens, where Tobe Hooper only did the first one, and the first one is the best. So that is something to say for Mr. Hooper. There's been like 5 or 6 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. His original is still the best. There's something to be said for that. In the 80s, he went on, his next film was something called Life Force. I don't know if this was to people were thinking about science fiction. Star Trek movie came out, the second one, that was big. Star Wars, of course, was big. Life Force is vampires from space that come to Earth. And it sounds cool, also ridiculous. Now, I'm not going to show clips of the films because I think it's better as a viewer to go in fresh. You know what I mean? Like, my description will have your image of it in your head, and then when you see it, it's cool when it's something different. If it doesn't work and you guys feel I should have clips, it's easy to do. But Life Force, now, Tobe Hooper went into this, and the thing that was the most important of this film, the main character had to be this female alien that was so captivating, so perfect, that was her power besides her real powers. And man, you could watch director commentary with Tobe Hooper, and he said he couldn't believe his eyes when he found her. And he said, that's the girl. I don't care how much acting experience she has. Her name is Matilda May, and did she... When you see her the first time, if you have a girl with you, it better be your girlfriend, because if it's some random chick or some girl you just met, she's gonna be like, "What the fuck kind of movie you have me watching?" It really, this woman is so perfect. It's almost, you really can't believe your eyes. And I'm not just saying that. She is almost worth watching the movie alone. Special effects are really fun. A lot of practical. It does get into some, you know, for the time, CG looked kind of weird. But if you think Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters, that's the CG you have in this. Very similar. It might even be the same special effects coordinator. Really fun film. I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece, but I don't ever see a lot of people on YouTube talking about Life Force. And that's kind of the point of this. I don't want to just talk about the big ones, you know. I will eventually, because you'll run out of stuff to talk about. But Life Force, the movie you should watch. And that is a semi-truck. Invaders from Mars. Another Tobe Hooper film. Now, this one is more family-orientated. Think E.T. with a slight more horror twist. Not anything too gory as a dinosaur pokes me. The creature design is really good. It's almost in the vein of a Jim Henson creature design. This is not as good as Life Force, but it's still, for Tobe Hooper to go from horror, really gritty horror, I will say, with Texas Chainsaw, to science fiction, to like alien invasion, really good. These are two movies you should watch. That's Invaders from Mars and Life Force. Now, for games you should play, I figured to come over to the table because we have Mr. Frank here and Star-Lord. The Punisher, this game is also on PlayStation 2. I don't know if it's on Steam, but obviously it's also on the original Xbox. I'm sure you can emulate it somehow. This Coalition, the people who made Saints Row, who just recently folded, because they made the Saints Row reboot and it was completely against what this company was about. Now, I know they wanted to change, everybody wants to change as they get older, and they almost to the point where they're ashamed of who they once were, which is just stupid. If you wanted to make a different game, don't even put it in the Saints Row universe. Make it a completely different game. They set themselves up for failure. You could have been some kind of open world RPG in the city. You could have been more clever, but I don't think they had that in them. But they did back then because they focused on ultra violence, and you could do some really nasty stuff in this game. I'm telling you, you put people's heads in ovens, you electrocute them. There's button prompts to do different stuff. You could go as... kind of let them off a little easy. At its core, it's a third-person shooter. This was like the Max Payne era. There's another game where you had a dog. I forget the name of it. I will talk about that someday. But think Max Payne, third-person shooter. Every level has a theme. They really captured the comic book well, and towards the end, there's a few cameos that come to New York City to help you, and it ends. It begins great. It starts to get a little monotonous, but then it ends on a freaking bang. They don't make games like this anymore, but maybe they do, because my next game you should play is 2020's Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of people didn't trust this game because Square Enix put out that, I wouldn't say a dud. I didn't mind the single player for Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers should have just been this, with co-op. This, the only thing that it lacks is co-op. It's very strange. So all the Guardians are present. You start and only can be Star-Lord. Think, and I'm not kidding, think slight Mass Effect elements with some platforming and a third-person shooter. The graphics are gorgeous. I don't think you need graphics to have a good game, but the use of colors and the way the planets look, it's like eye candy. Do not sleep on this game. It is very cheap right now, under $20. Guardians of the Galaxy is what gaming should be about. These two games are very, hear my voice, man. They're very similar, and they both know what they do well, and they stick to it. There is some platforming in Guardians because you do use his jetpack, and you can use the powers of all the characters in some unique ways with the environment to get across like blockable paths with Groot stretching out his arms and Rocket flying over there. So there's multiple paths for each level. Has some replay value. Guardians of the Galaxy and The Punisher are two games you absolutely should play. And that's the end of the video. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more, if this was totally a waste of time, it's all about you trusting my opinion. For the most part, you have with toys, so why not with games and movies? Invaders from Mars, I would say, of the four, the thing you should really do is play The Punisher. And then Life Force, then Guardians, then Invaders from Mars. Take care, have fun.